Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's total calamity with this UK visit and the way that they have used their children, Archie and Lily, now has mainstream, high profile, non political British celebrities speaking out and saying these two children are going to go on and bitterly resent their parents. And over the weekend, I really was struck by the total contrast in terms of what type of family life Harry and Meghan have given their children, who at this stage are probably going to grow up as little weirdos. And I'm horrified about that. They're in the line of succession. But I mean, how on earth will they be able to get through this given the total horror show that their lives have become? And you compare and contrast that to Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who released the most beautiful images of her entire family after she completed the Three Peaks challenge. And there they are, the dog as well. Obviously, the marriage is so strong, but the relationship with the kids is just so genuine. But equally, I love the fact that the Middletons are such an important part of this family life too. And you just think what might have been if Harry and Meghan had stayed in the United Kingdom, but had allowed the Markle family to be part of their children's lives. They wouldn't have had to grow up isolated. But look, anyway, this all kicked off because Kirstie Allsopp, she is a very, very famous British TV presenter, and she's actually famous across the world. You know, you will know her from shows like Location, Location, Location if you enjoy British TV. She's a bit of a property legend, but she is also very outspoken. But she doesn't really wade into these issues. But she just snapped over the weekend after seeing all of the calamity in regards to this visit, and she posted on X, in about 12 years' time, these children will rebel. They will come to the UK, meet their cousins and other family, and bitterly resent their British life being taken from them. It's all so staggeringly predictable and sad for all concerned. Have the Sussexes never read a novel of this? And if you want more hard-hitting Harry and Meghan coverage like this with the double standards called out, hit subscribe right now and turn on the notifications. Dan Wood and Outspoken has no spin, no bias, and no censorship. And she's right, isn't she? We've been saying it for such a long time. Eventually, these two kids are going to think, what? You kept us prisoner in this mansion. You kept us locked up. You took us to nothing. And we didn't get to know our grandfather, who was the King of England. We didn't get to know our great-grandmother, who is the most brilliant monarch of all time. There will be bitterness and resentment. There is a debate over this brewing, though, because Nadia Essex, again, someone who's been here on Outspoken, a high-profile UK reality show, replied directly to Allsopp, and me actually, I think because I'd reposted Allsopp, how ignorant. We minions have no idea what goes on with these people's lives, no idea how much they do or do not see their cousins, how close or not they are with their family. Stupid posts like this saying they're screwing up their kids by people who know nothing is reckless. Sarah Vine totally disagreed with that take, though. She replied in regards to Harry and Meghan, not sure they are big readers, leading Kirstie to elaborate. She said, but you get my point. Children all rebel in some way. Sometimes it's all just a buzz cut, but you never know how far they're going to go. And having a whole family in the UK who you've never been allowed to meet is quite tempting as a two fingers up to your parents. Well, I completely agree, but Narinder Kaur doesn't. She is the hardcore member of the Sussex squad who's actually, remarkably, blamed Charles, blamed King Charles. Apparently the king, who's been bending over backwards against the wishes of his wife and against the wishes of his elder son, who just so happens to be the future king, Narinder thinks Charles hasn't done enough for Harry and Meghan. I think it was pretty hurtful, was it not, Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network? I think it was pretty hurtful, was it not, when Harry described Camilla as the enemy, when he effectively allowed Meghan Markle to describe Catherine as some type of bitch. Oh, not to mention calling the king racist. I mean, come on. I'm with Kirstie Allsopp here. I really am. I think it will be a miracle if Archie and Lily don't grow up ending up hating their parents after all of this.
I mean, I really think that's a distinct possibility because I just can't imagine you spend, what was it, his 4th birthday? I'm sure Archie spent his 4th birthday in like a bouncy house or something, or maybe it was his, yeah, I can't remember which birthday it was. Instead of being at the coronation of his grandfather, he got a like a piddly birthday party compared to hanging out in Buckingham Palace with the rest of the royal family. I would look back on that as a child and go, why couldn't I go? I don't understand. And this is the thing for Harry and Meghan, how they've treated their children, how they've cut them off from any sort of family relationship and family bond. It's just cruel. It's just a horrible way to raise their family. And I honestly think I don't think Archie and Lily will grow up necessarily super well adjusted in some ways. And I have no doubt at some point they will meet all the royal relatives that as teenagers or adults and go, these people are cool. These people are awesome. What was wrong? I don't understand. And I think that's going to be the situation. And maybe it may come out too that the kids kind of understand that, hey, dad's unstable and not too bright, and mom's, a narcissist. And so they kind of figure out, hey, our parents are the problem. We love them, but these rest of the royal relatives are pretty cool. We maybe at this point, at some point, they're stripped of their prince and princess titles, and they're like, we could have been a prince and princess, like we were briefly, but then that was taken from us, and that's all because of you. I think that will build a lot of resentment within the home, and Charles is 100% right here to allow the government to dictate who is protected and who is not. And I'm sorry, but multiple people have looked into Harry at this point and they've found no risk. There is no risk to this guy. If there was, he would get protection. There is none, so he doesn't. This should be just black and white. It's very simple, but
the biggest risk is to
push
himself. He is the biggest risk to himself. And actually, Brittany, and I'm going to be very clear on this, if something happens now, it's because he has made himself a threat with the constant talk of security and the lack of security. The other thing is, if you have cousins, right, you build close relations with your cousins when you're young. And so for Archie and Lily, it's like their cousin is going to be the future king, but he's heading into his teenage years. He's going off to boarding school. It's actually too late now to ever build that sort of close relationship where your cousins almost become like a second set of siblings. And these are such nice kids, aren't they, Brittany? Because we saw with the Prince and Princess of Wales post on Sunday evening, this time last week, completing the National Three Peaks Challenge. A huge thank you to everybody who has supported the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity. To find out more or donate, please visit royalmarsden.org, Princess of Wales. She's always doing the right thing. But I have to be honest, Brittany, it was actually the post from James Middleton, Catherine's brother, that really got me. I mean, I am incredibly close to my sister, right? So I just know he was there for her every step of the way, as I would have been my sister. And he posted, I'm so incredibly proud of my darling sister. 2 years ago, I told you we'd climb this mountain together. We talked about climbing mountains while you were in hospital and about the incredible healing power that nature can have for both the body and the mind. So it was such an honor to join you for your Three Peaks Challenge for the Royal Marsden Cancer Charity. Seeing how far you've come is nothing short of inspiring. Your strength, resilience, and determination, all while being the most amazing mother, wife, daughter, and sister, inspire me and so many others every single day. Keep being exactly who you are. Honestly, Brittany, I just can't even read it. It's so beautiful. It is just such a beautiful thing from James, I thought.
A devastating warning has just been fired straight at Montecito, and it cuts right to the heart of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's household. Renowned British presenter Kirstie Allsopp has leveled a heartbreaking accusation against the couple, claiming their ongoing war with the House of Windsor is actively ruining the futures of young Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet. We are talking about a legacy of bitter resentment that could isolate these royal children forever. While the public focus is almost always on the feud between the adults, a fierce new debate is exploding over the innocent casualties caught in the crossfire, Archie and Lilibet. The controversy ignited when Kirstie Allsopp, a prominent voice known for her close ties to high society circles, spoke out on the long-term consequences of the Sussexes' choices. It goes far beyond simply moving across the Atlantic. Critics point out that Archie and Lilibet are growing up with absolutely no physical connection to their grandfather, King Charles, or their cousins, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis. By raising them in a bubble of grievance against the British monarchy, the Sussexes are accused of passing down an inheritance not of titles and history, but of family trauma. Allsopp's critique highlights a growing consensus that feeding children a narrative wrapped in bitterness inevitably breeds confusion and resentment as they grow older.
It really is, and shows how close the Middletons are as a family and how William has been 100% embraced by them. And I think that was part of the big attraction to Catherine is this stable family. And I think through Catherine and through her own stable family, she has helped William craft a very stable family. And I think that is hugely critical for the future of the monarchy because you can only do what has been exampled to you in many ways, or you make a really hard decision to change your family dynamics. And Harry and Meghan, I think they're going to perpetuate the instability that Charles and Diana, and I think Thomas and Doria offered Harry and Meghan growing up, rather than William, who has saw his childhood very unstable one in many ways and chose an entirely different route. And thankfully as well, the Wales's kids, yes, they don't have Harry and Meghan's children to be really close with, but they do have their Middleton cousins, and I think they're exceptionally close to them. We haven't really seen them ever publicly interact, but I'm sure they spend a lot of time at the Middleton house. Like we saw a bit of that in James's book. So I think they have those cousins to rely on. And I think they will become incredibly close and probably even more public as time goes on. And it's so grateful that William has this stability to land on because right now I think there's so much up in the air with his father's illness and his brother's, I would argue, mental problems that William, I think, loves being in the bubble with the Middletons, and they have done so much for him. And I think he loves them dearly. Of course, he loves his own family as well. But I think without the Middletons, especially with Catherine's cancer and Harry and his book and his Netflix series and everything, I think William would be in a much darker place. So I think he is exceptionally grateful to that
And
family.
I mean, look at Catherine again, all of this chaos going on, Brittany, and she's doing her duty, isn't she? Look at these pictures. Here she is at the Evelina, London's Children's Hospital, where she is patron. She is on 2 hospital wards, meeting parents, children, and intensive care specialists, because this is what we expect her to do. And she's going ahead with this, Brittany, with no drama, no issues, no fanfare like Meghan wants, because she is going to go to a hospital. So she's going to the Chelsea hospital. So we all have to stop and we all have to change security plans. So Catherine's just going and doing it, and it matters and people care. And these are the images that really mean so much more in my view, Brittany. Look at the way that she's listening. Look at the way she cares.
And when you think about Harry and Meghan, especially, like they'll go and they'll create a lot of fanfare for a hot second. And then I'm sure many of those charities never ever hear from them again. Whereas Catherine and William visit a charity and then they are developing this relationship over a period of time, and they're helping out and they're reaching out months and years later, and they're continuing this bond that they create with patients and in hospitals. And I think Catherine, of course, with her cancer experience, has even more of a heart for those who are dealing with chronic illnesses and life debilitating illnesses. And so I think she can connect with them so much more, and I think she wants to connect with them, wants to learn, and through her steady approach, rather than a bunch of fanfare and bloat, a steady approach over a long term can have much more of an impact than Harry and Meghan could ever dream to.
Yeah, indeed. And Brittany, I mean, it's so funny. It feels like an eternity ago that I sat down on Friday night UK time and watched Prince William with the Kelsey brothers, which was such a coup, appearing on the New Heights podcast on the day that Travis Kelce tied the knot with Taylor Swift, a wedding, of course, which William and Catherine had been invited to, but I think logistically was just far too difficult to think about all of their plans. It came at the time of Wimbledon, not to mention the security logistics of them being at Madison Square Gardens. But it was such a nice way, I think, for William and Catherine to just make a nod towards that wedding. And there were also a couple of great moments, and I don't just want them to pass us by, Brittany. I mean, it was so funny when William, not sure if the king would have loved it, but when he told the truth about the king's view of what you call soccer, Brittany, and we call football. But I'm not going to lie, I think for us royalists, it was most nice when, there was a lot of football talk, right? And of course there was. Like, it's a sports podcast. Like, Brittany, you get it, right? It's a sports podcast. There's a lot of football talk. But my favourite moment was when Travis actually opened up about how nervous he was when he was meeting Prince William, and how they especially loved Princess Charlotte because it led to a really lovely exchange about being a dad. Brittany, it was such a great conversation. And of course, I know people say, oh, don't bring them up in regards to this, but you just can't get away from the fact this is the type of conversation that Prince Harry thought he was going to be having over the course of the FIFA World Cup, of which he has thus far been totally shut out of.
He has. It'd be curious to know, Dan, if he has been asked to do anything or if he tried to get to do anything.
See, my
And
belief is
everybody's
he
like, no.
hasn't, because they backed
And
David
it's like,
Beckham, but he's going to do the James Corden show, and that's like his only route in.
it is, and it's kind of funny because obviously as well he had the whole debacle at the Dodger game wearing the Dodger hat versus Toronto hat, but I'm sure Harry and Meghan being excluded from the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce wedding was I'm sure a huge blow to their egos, and because everybody from the entertainment industry seemed to be there, like everyone, even those who had a peripheral more connection to Taylor Swift were there, and so Harry and Meghan being excluded, I'm sure Catherine and William were invited. It was actually confirmed this week by the Telegraph as well that Travis and Kelce met with Catherine and William in London when they were there just like a month or two ago. So that Taylor Swift is putting all her stock in the future king and queen, I think says so much because Harry and Meghan are just pariahs. And we've seen the example of this week of why I think nobody in the entertainment industry wants to deal with them because this mess playing out publicly does nothing but continue to damage and erode their reputation. And I think bringing Prince William on for the podcast on the date of the wedding was a stroke of PR brilliance. Obviously, you had the World Cup in the background, so it made sense in a lot of different forms. But I really think it highlighted this connection that Travis and Kelce have to the royal family, to Prince William, to the future king and Catherine, and the rest of the royals, and talking about Charlotte. Just, I think, again, exemplifies how people see royals. It's like a uber celebrity in a world of celebrities. And Harry and Meghan, I think, not only are they not that anymore, I think they've put themselves in the B, C list ranking again. They were Ubers and now they're down to B and C list. And I think that's how the entertainment industry is treating them. And I think that podcast reflects it.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the Royal Grift pointed out some reporting from Kennedy in the Daily Mail, and I would sort of describe it as Meghan Markle's face saving when it came to the winning, because I just really struggle to believe this, Brittany. But Kennedy reported, this is in the Mail, what does Meghan think of all this? I asked one of my Montecito moles if they thought that me again was miffed about missing Trailer Palooza, which is obviously what she's calling the Taylor Swift wedding. I just don't think she wants to be in a room full of celebrities, my insider said. I think she likes to be the most important person in the room. Honestly, she would go to the other side of the world to try to just not be included in a celebrity circus if it's not about her. She is so self-involved that if something isn't totally about her, she's frankly not interested. She's that vain. Kennedy went on, to be fair, little Miss Markle is well known for rubbing elbows with the elite and doesn't wilt under the star power of friends like Serena Williams, but I could understand if she had some trepidation. Are you buying that, Brittany? Are you really buying
I'm not.
that if Meghan Markle got an invite to Taylor's wedding, she was not going to be there? I'm just not buying it. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm not buying it either. We've seen events where Meghan Markle is not the most important in the person in the room. You know, Kris Jenner's birthday party, her and Harry were definitely not the most important or glamorous guests by any stretch of the imagination. Meghan Markle was, I'm sure, wanting and hoping and pleading and begging to get an invitation to Taylor Swift's wedding, not just for even just the opportunity to network. I mean, Meghan Markle set up her own wedding to network with Hollywood celebs that would never have given her the time of day before. And I'm sure she would have done the same with Taylor Swift's wedding as well. It was the event of the year and it was fully controlled. And so I would imagine Meghan would have begged and pleaded to go. But we've seen with even just the photo debacles, we had the Netflix photo debacle where they demanded photos were pulled. We had the Jenner wedding where photos were pulled. I just don't think anybody wants to deal with them anymore. They are difficult. They are demanding. And they, again, have a hubris of a position that they don't really have. And I think that grates on people who are infinitely more successful than they are. And Taylor Swift has more talent in the tip of her little pinky finger than Harry and Meghan do combined. So
True.
Taylor Swift doesn't need them.
But the isolation of these children is only half the story. In just a moment, we are going to expose the hidden psychological trap that royal experts warn Archie and Lilibet will face the exact second they realize what their parents walked away from. The harsh reality of this setup. Right now, Archie and Lilibet are completely dependent on Harry and Meghan's version of history. But children eventually grow up, they read books, they watch documentaries, and they ask questions. When they look across the ocean and see their extended family uniting at historic events, the realization of what they were denied will hit hard. Kirstie Allsopp's warning of bitter resentment works two ways. It's the resentment Harry and Meghan feel toward the palace today, but tomorrow it could easily become the resentment Archie and Lily feel toward their own parents for cutting them off from a global legacy. Without a foundational relationship with the royal family, Their princely titles risk looking like hollow branding tools rather than a genuine birthright. At its core, this is a deeply sad situation for two young children who had no choice in this public war. Childhood is fleeting, and the window for forming bonds with an aging grandfather like King Charles is closing fast. Palace insiders reveal that the king harbors a profound sadness over how little he knows his American grandchildren. Instead of family birthdays, holiday gatherings at Sandringham, and shared royal traditions, Archie and Lily are being raised in an environment heavily defined by a public legal battle and media standoffs. It's a heavy burden for young minds to eventually carry. The tide is turning in the court of public opinion, and commentators are no longer holding back. The narrative that Harry and Meghan are simply protecting their children is being fiercely challenged by the argument that they are actually isolating them out of spite. As more public figures like Allsopp speak out, the pressure on the Sussexes is mounting. They are running out of time to change the narrative before Archie and Lilibet are old enough to understand the full weight of the royal divide. The choices made today are cementing a fractured future that may be impossible to repair. The warning signs are flashing bright for the Sussex household, and the generational fallout has officially begun. But I want to hear from you. Do you agree with Kirstie Allsopp that Harry and Meghan are setting their kids up for a life of bitter resentment, or are they just giving them a normal upbringing away from the palace madness? Let loose in the comments section below. I'm jumping in to read your replies. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our daily royal breakdowns.